What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the RBI podcast. My name is Richie. I am your host like always. We are on episode number 9 now. We are getting up there. We're getting closer. We are halfway there when it comes to the offseason. The season is, I think it's past half now. I think it was a couple days ago. But we're in the middle of playoff football, middle of basketball, middle of hockey, if you like that. World Baseball Classics right around the corner. And eventually opening day is going to be here, and I cannot wait for that. It'll also help me with this podcast a lot because we got some interesting topics today. We're talking about arbitration, automated strike zone, international signing bonus. I'm not gonna bore you with all the details on everything. I'm just gonna give you the go arounds on how these things work, and then some guys that were signed or in arbitration, are they going to get extended? And I'll explain what I mean by that as well. I'm also going to compare my power rankings that I put on my TikTok with MLB.com's, see how close they are, see our differences in opinions. Like always, subscribe. We got Instagram, we got Twitter, we got TikTok. There we go. I'll get this one day. Don't worry, guys. I'll get it one day where I get the points correctly. But like always, subscribe. I'm also putting up YouTube Shorts. One of them actually did pretty well. I got a couple hundred views. Watch everything. TikTok as well. Instagram. I'm gonna start posting question bubbles where you can ask me questions I could put on the podcast. But besides that, I'm not gonna keep on rambling, and I'm not gonna keep on boring you guys. So we're gonna get right into today, episode 9, halfway there. So arbitration. The reason why I'm gonna talk about it is because it just happened, and the deadline to meet arbitration. Basically, what arbitration is that it's, how do I put this? When you get a certain amount of service time. On rookie deals in the NFL and the NBA, I don't know about the NHL, but I know in the NFL and the NBA, it's a set number until you get an extension. You're also rookie eligible and things of that nature, but you're never how do I put this? In baseball, it's not a set salary every season. Arbitration, basically what it is your team says how much you're valuable for, you say how much you're valuable for, or your agent, you meet a number in the middle, that's your salary for the season. If you don't come to an agreement by a certain date, which was, I believe, Monday or Sunday, I'm not sure 100%, but you go to the court or a lawyer or something, and that's where it gets ugly. You never wanted to get to that spot. There was, I think, 33 guys that did not agree to arbitration, but Pete Alonso made history with $14.5 million, the most for a first baseman for arbitration. Vlad Jr. tied him an hour later. So most guys agree to arbitration, the term is avoid arbitration, and you're better off avoiding it. It keeps you in good faith with your team, and that's why I'm going to talk about extensions, because a couple guys that didn't avoid arbitration are Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Jeff McNeil, Kyle Tucker. Those are the 4 I picked out. Also, Ryan Helsley didn't, Christian Javier didn't, Josh Rojas didn't, some random guys also as well. Bo Bichette is another big one. We'll talk about him as well. But basically, the biggest name that I found that did not avoid it was Corbin Burns, and I spoke about it last week that the Brewers have a kind of a weird thing right now where they're not paying anyone except for Yelich, and that's not really working out. But Corbin Burns is by far their best player, pitcher or hitter, and he's not under contract. I think he's got a couple years left on his rookie deal, but now he's hitting arbitration, and they couldn't match a number. And if now you can't match a number, who says they're going to agree to one for an extension? I was going to talk about like trade targets, but I'm like, you know what? He's probably not getting traded. And if he does, I would be very shocked. But then again, I was shocked with Josh Hader. Like Corbin Burns is like, I've said it multiple times. I think he's the second best pitcher in baseball to Jacob deGrom. The dude dominates with literally two pitches, like the cutter and slider, or I think he added a two-seamer, but don't take my word for that. I'm not sure the exact numbers for any of these guys that I have listed, but Burns is probably the best out of the five I picked, and he wants his money. Like, arbitration can get ugly. I know if I was in that situation, I would kind of tell my agent, you handle it, because you don't want to have that bad relationship where, like, they're in the hearings, like, telling you how bad you are, when it's, like, in reality, they don't think that. They're just trying to pinch pennies on you. And So Corbin Burns, like I'm not sure what the future is for him, like in Milwaukee. Max Fried also didn't reach. Jeff McNeil, Kyle Tucker, and Bo Bichette. I'm going to say yes, no, or maybe to when if they're going to sign an extension, not sign an extension, or maybe. The reason why I'm saying extension is because a lot of times when guys hit arbitration, it's when they start getting those deals like early, unless they want to test free agency. Corbin Burns, like I said, I put maybe, would need to get signed soon. If he hits free agency, he's gone. I don't think that they're going to match whoever's going to pay him. So that's why it's a maybe. Like if it's this offseason, next offseason, then yeah, I could see it happening for like a cheaper deal. But if they can't get their arbitration settled like cleanly, then I put very little hope in that extension happening. Max Fried, the next guy. This is it's a little weird because it's like the Braves pay everyone, but when guys hit free agency, they usually don't bring them back. Like we saw Dansby Swanson, we saw Freddie Freeman. Max Fried's next. This is Max Fried's last year of arbitration. He's a free agent after this season. So I said no because I don't think he will get extended by the Braves. I think they're going to let him go because they have Spencer Strider and they have Kyle Wright and they don't want to pay anyone. They don't want to go over that CBT mark. So they're not going to overpay for him, and it's similar to Burns. Like it would have to happen soon, and I don't think it's going to happen, especially if the arbitration is not done, unless they didn't agree to it and an extension is in the works. I don't know. The Braves are pretty quiet with that stuff, but in this case, I would say no. I don't think Max Fried. I don't want to say he doesn't want to be there, but I think he's seeing all these deals that like Carlos Rodon got, and like you compare yourself to a lefty pitcher, pretty nice contract, and a lot of good teams are going to be in on you. So test your market, I would say, if you're free. So for my case and my prediction, no, he's not going to get extended by the Braves. Second baseman for the Mets, Jeff McNeil. I put a maybe because basically because it's Steve Cohen. Him and Alonso, I believe, are free agents at the same year. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they're both coming up, I think, not this next offseason, but the one after that. So the 2024 going to 2025 season would be their free agency year. Like I said, I put maybe because of Steve Cohen. My question is he a priority? Because they're going to be in on Ohtani and Machado next year. Alonso's due for a contract. A lot of the pitching is going to come off for the Mets. Like Verlander is only a 2-year deal, so by the time McNeil hits free agency, Verlander will be off the books. So will Scherzer. Senga, you might be out of that contract, or if you're in it, it's not that crazy. Like Nimmo is there, Lindor is there, so those are the big time contracts you're going to have. I would say that's about it, because like Marte, even that would be, he'd have 1 year left, so you can probably pay someone. And also it's Steve Cohen. The dude's got unlimited money. So my thing is it a priority? Like we saw like with Michael Conforto, they didn't bring him back. I think McNeil's a better player than Conforto, but my point is Steve Cohen is not going to throw money at anyone. We've seen that with Correa, obviously. But if it were me, I'd sign him because he's very versatile. While he's a slap 300 hitter, his OPS is over 800 usually. It's usually like around like the 120, 130 OPS plus mark. Like that's like, I would say I think this year that definitely, last year was a little tougher of a year, but his averages are like around there. His power is not crazy, but I think he's an underrated fielder. I think he's one of the better defensive second basemen in baseball. And he's also an above average left fielder. That would be my pitch if I'm McNeil to Steve Cohen. But also, like I said, Steve Cohen's going to want you. And I don't know, like obviously, I think he's going to obviously prioritize Alonso over him. But they sign both. Maybe, probably, but that's why I put a maybe. Like, if there was no Alonso situation, then, like, I don't want to call it a situation, but if there was no Alonso that needed an extension, then I would say yes. But they're going to worry about that first. So, I put maybe. Kyle Tucker, right fielder for the Astros, one of the better players in baseball now. I think I had him ranked in my top 20 on TikTok. Yes, the organization that he's in, like Altuve's there for a while now, Bregman, like none of these guys are on massive contracts, and it seems like kind of like fluid that is going to happen, or clean or efficient, whatever term you want to use. So I would say yes with Kyle Tucker because he's really good and they have the money to spend. Like they haven't really broke the bank on anyone. You can probably do it on this guy, but still get him under value. Mainly because this is gonna sound weird. He's not that popular. Like we saw, like Francisco Lindor got paid because he's a very popular guy. He's also a great player. Like I'm not taking that away from him, but you saw him get paid. You see like Aaron Judge get paid. Kyle Tucker kind of flies under the radar, even though he's from a talent standpoint, he is that good. That would probably be the only reason why I would put a little bit of pause, is that he, like, obviously the Astros know his worth. I know his worth. Most fans and front offices know his worth. But who's he going to be judged off of? Like, is it less than the Judge contract? Obviously. But is it more than, like, I don't know, another right field account? Mookie Betts? Like, I'm not sure. Like, is Kyle Tucker better than Mookie Betts? Like, put in the comments below. What do you think? But I would say yes, just because the Astros seem to like him a lot. So if they want to spend a little bit of money, which they usually don't do, then they will on this guy because he's a 3-4-5 hitter. And in my opinion, one of the most underrated hitters in baseball. Bo Bichette, I don't know. I would lean no. I don't think they will extend him. Like Vlad Jr. still has to get extended. And he hasn't really, from a shortstop's perspective, he hasn't been that guy. He can hit, like, for sure, but he's been such a butcher at shortstop. So do you want to pay a guy that is probably profiling more as a second baseman, shortstop money, or do you want to move him to second and pay him as a second baseman? If someone's going to offer him shortstop money, he's going to take it. And like I said, his bat is fine, but his defense is so bad, and eventually they're going to move him to second. That's why they've been in on some shortstops. I'm pretty sure they were in on like one of these big four guys, like Correa, Swanson, who else? Turner. Who's the fourth guy? Bogarts. Like they were in on one of them, I believe, and they were going to move Bichette to second. It's not a problem, but that shows a little bit of pause on if they would give him an extension to play shortstop. So I would say no for Bo Bichette. So baseball's been around for a very long time, and we've had multiple rule changes, and probably the biggest one that is going to be coming soon is the automated strike zone. At least in my lifetime, the biggest one. It's being introduced in AAA this year, and it's half electronic, half ABS challenge system. Like half of the stadiums have the electronic, half the challenge system. Which I mean by that is, an electronic zone is just there's a buzzer in the umpire's pocket. The pitch is thrown. If it buzzes, I think it's a strike. If it doesn't, it's a ball. That's it. It's a very simple process. This challenge system, which I think is going to be more of what the MLB is going to do, is the umpires call the games. You get 3 challenges per game. If you think it's a ball, take the pitch. That's what you have to do. That's a challenge. I think a pitcher can challenge as well. That, in my opinion, is a better system because it keeps the human aspect in the game, but it also keeps massive error that can ruin a team's season out of it. We see it in tennis. Like, it's been around for a while. Like, the ball on the mark comes up right away. Like, I don't understand why people are going to give pause to this, because people think it's going to ruin the game. But let's be honest. If the umpires were good, this wouldn't be a problem. But a lot of these umpires nowadays are kind of ticky-tacky. And I don't know if that's because the hitters are knowing the strike zone better, or the strike zone's changed. Like, I don't really know. Like, there's meetings that go on that we don't even know about. You see these umpire scorecards come out. There's one perfect one this year. I forget the guy's name. But I personally don't like the full-on electronic zone. I like the half with the challenge system because, like I said, you keep the human aspect. Like, the 99% of the calls are going to be made by a human. And then the one that just missed that you think is a ball, you challenge. You can lose that challenge, and then that you kind of look like stupid, to be honest. But I like this. I like the challenge. I don't like the electronic. I do like the challenge system, though. And I put at the end of my statement here with this is, can we give Rob Manfred a little bit of a break? Because this is a rule change that's going to happen. We're getting the bigger bases this year. We're getting the pitch clock. We're getting the pickoff rule, which I disagree with the pickoff rule, but I'll get to that in a second. The bigger bases, I genuinely don't know what the point of it is, other than stolen bases, or maybe injury. It prevents injuries. I'm not sure, but that's why I don't know like what it does, so I'm not gonna have an opinion on it. The pitch clock, some guys take forever. Like, let's be honest. And baseball is a sport. Yeah, it's gonna take 3 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes, 3 hours, 15 minutes. But when guys are on the mound for like 45 seconds to a minute, you can't expect the consumer to enjoy that. I mean, I'm a diehard baseball fan. I've been my whole life, so I can enjoy it. But if you want to grow your audience, you have to apply to what today's world is like. And the world today is very fast-paced. That's what that would be. Pitchers are going to be mad about it, so are hitters, because you have to stay in the box you have to get back in the box in a certain amount of time. You have to get on the mound by a certain time. And I think you get a timeout, like as a pitcher. But I guarantee you by May, latest June, you won't even recognize this rule. Like, has anyone even recognized the 3-batter minimum? If anything, it adds a strategy to the game. Do you want to bring this guy in now because are you afraid of that 3 guys? Do you trust him to get that one lefty out with 2 outs? Or if he doesn't get him out, you got to face Mike Trout who crushes lefties. Well, he crushes everybody, but you catch my drift. You see these rule changes. Rob Manfred has changed a lot of rules. I've also saw blackouts might be going away, which would be great. It doesn't truly affect me as much as it's like some of the other states in the more middle of the country. But he's done a lot of good things for baseball. The CBA doesn't look great because it was like a war basically, and also the cheating, the sign stealing doesn't help him. But this isn't the first time that things have happened like that in baseball. So I'd give him a little bit of a pass. Baseball's numbers when it comes to like ratings did really well last year, and it was genuinely a very exciting season. In the NFL this year, NFL is always going to be king, but you can't tell me that it was that exciting. There was a lot of bad football being played. In baseball this year, there was a lot of good baseball being played. And I'm not trying to down the NFL. I love football. But the talent on the field for baseball is very high right now, and they're taking advantage of it. These rule changes are going to enhance it. Like the stolen base idea. Everyone wants stolen bases. They do something to promote stealing bases, they get annoyed about it, like fans. That's what I don't get. Like, change is going to happen. If you're not changing, you're staying put, and if you're staying put, you're losing. That's the oldest saying. If you're not going forward, you're going backwards. You can't stay still. And that's what baseball is doing right now. So, for me, like I said, the electronic zone, not a big fan of, but the challenge system I like. The other rule changes, we'll see. The pitch clock's going to be a pain early on because you're going to see a lot of guys being annoying about it, but they'll adjust like they always do. I like the schedule change. I like how every team plays every team now, so I get to see Shohei Ohtani every season. He'll probably get more games on ESPN now, and MLB Network can have more weird showcase games like the Padres playing the Cleveland Guardians. You have Joe Ram and Tatis. Like, that's how you market your game. We're never going to be national like the NFL, but if we can get close, why not? So a big part of everything I just said about the talent is through the international signing pool. How this works, it's a little confusing, but hear me out. First off, if you're under 25, it has to be a minor league deal. That's why Ohtani got a minor league deal a couple years ago when he was only 23. The amount that you get to spend, or out of your bonus pool at least, is tied to your team's revenue/market. Like, for instance, this year the Rangers have the least amount of spending because their market's big, and also if you spend money on a guy with a qualifying offer like Jacob deGrom, it takes away too. Like, I have here, qualifying offer costs his penalty. What this does is it keeps it's kind of like an even competitive balance thing, the signing pool, because the A's always have the most money, the Rays, the Twins, the Brewers, the Guardians, like the lower market teams always have the most international signing pool money. And like I said, it's tied to your team's revenue/market, so you'll never see the Mets or Yankees or Dodgers or now Padres have the most international signing money just because of their location, Chicago even. I put here also the international draft is a no-go if you guys didn't know by now. Last year in the lockout, literally when it was on the final steps, we were told someone brought up an international draft, but what they came into an agreement was later last season they were going to have the international draft or the qualifying offer. If they had the draft, the qualifying offer goes away. If they don't have the draft, the qualifying offer stays. The qualifying offer is like it's not like a franchise tag, but it gets you competition if a guy leaves. And I like the signing bonus more than the draft because the signing bonus gives teams that don't have as much revenue or whatever more opportunity to get these good players. Like, I only highlighted one guy because there's a ton of guys that got signed. I have the main guy, Padres catcher Ethan Salas, $5.6 million from Venezuela, 16 years old. Just a quick scout, like raw power, smooth behind the dish, commands the game, leader, hits to all fields. I saw also hits home runs in batting practice to end the game. I don't really know what that means, but basically he's a 16-year-old kid. Like, we have no idea how this kid's gonna turn out. But we've seen Juan Soto be a international signing bonus. We've seen a Ronald Acuna. We've seen, obviously, Ohtani. We've seen, like, Ozzie Albies, I believe. I could be wrong on that one. But we've seen a ton of players. Like, I'm pretty sure Julio Rodriguez as well. We've seen a ton of these players be signing bonus guys. And it's 30% of our game. Like, 30% of players in our game are not drafted. They are signed out of foreign countries such as Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, like this kid. Cuba is a big one, like Yoenis Cespedes, Jose Abreu, Luis Robert we've seen. And I think baseball is very diverse and it's only going to get bigger. So it's important that we kind of understand the importance of this signing bonus. I just wanted to highlight it. I wanted to highlight this kid, Salas. He's a dominant player, at least in high school. It's hard to say now how he's going to be, but Padres keep spending, kid's 16 years old. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be the next Yachty, but I just wanted to highlight one kid. There's a ton of other guys. Like, I think the Braves signed a big-time player. The Mets signed 10 guys, I think. The Rays signed a bunch of guys. It's a cool time for, like, these kids to really, like, make it. Like, because a lot of these guys, like, baseball is their whole life, and this is such a great opportunity for them to live their dream and show the true talent and come over to the Major League Baseball and play and hopefully get their shot and become Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani. Before we get into the comparing the power rankings, I just wanted to give there's a couple of minor signings that I would say. Trey Mancini to the Cubs, Brian Anderson to the Brewers, happened like an hour ago. And Andrew McCutchen to the Pirates, which is so cool, but I'll get to that in a second. We'll start with Mancini. I thought he was going to end up with the Mets or something of that nature, but the truth of the matter is he's going to get the most at-bats with the Cubs. He got a 2-year deal, and he didn't play great with the Astros, but he's going to play every day for the Cubs. He's going to play probably, I would say, a mix between first, DH, and outfield, but he'll be in the lineup every day. He got very little playing time with the Astros, and the guy's got a great story, obviously, cancer survivor. You always root for a guy like that, obviously. But the Cubs, they had a sneaky good offseason. They got Dansby. They got Jameson Tyone, I forgot about they got, actually. But Mancini's a good quality player. Just a good signing. I'm not going to say he's a difference maker because he's just a quality player. But the Cubs are slowly getting closer to the Brewers, in my opinion. I don't know how great the Brewers are. The Cubs kind of have a little bit of a ceiling. They're not there yet, but they do have some talent. Brian Anderson to the Brewers. Anderson's coming off a couple of really bad years. He used to be a really good third baseman, but they moved him to the outfield in Miami. It's also hard really getting up, motivated when you're playing, with no fans. It's a shame, but, I don't mean to be rude, but Miami, you watch games, they never sell out. They're never even close, but he's going to get a second shot now with the Brewers. I'm not sure where he's going to play because Urias plays third. Their outfield, they don't have Renfroe. They have Winker. Maybe the outfield. But I think the key with him is to stick him somewhere and leave him there. Or make him just a bench bat, which could be the case in this situation. The Brewers have to do something. They don't really have much pop. I guess you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle with this. But adding pieces is never a bad thing. And then the coolest move probably of the offseason is Andrew McCutchen going back home to the Pirates. Obviously, he's not the player he was with the Pirates, but it's cool. I have a feeling this might be his last season, and that's why he's doing this. I'm not sure though. I don't take that with a grain of salt. McCutchen still hits, and he's still pretty fast. I think he was 90th percentile in sprint speed. He's not the MVP candidate anymore. He's not the center fielder anymore, but he doesn't have to be. He's going to play left. I wanted the Mets to get him, to be honest, but Pirates get him. It's a super cool move, and couldn't be happier for the guy. Couldn't be happier for Pittsburgh Pirate Nation. I just really hope you guys get a winning team soon, because we've seen that place. Like, we saw, I think Johnny Cueto dropped the ball when Pittsburgh the crowd rattled him. Like, we want that back, and hopefully soon. Okay, so now we're going to compare the power rankings. My apologies that it's kind of small, so it's hard to see, but I'll talk about it anyway. If you're not watching this and you're listening to this right now, I have power rankings. Like, I have the MLB on one side, mine on the other side, and I'm just going to talk about what the differences are, just why I have certain teams where, why I think they have certain teams there. So we both have Houston 1, we both have Oakland last, we both have Washington second to last. But then they had Pittsburgh 28th. I had Pittsburgh 24th. That's not much of a difference. I'm just trying to knock out the bottom teams. They had the biggest thing on the bottom, I would say, is that I have Boston 25th. They have them 17th. I don't like their roster at all, especially now with Story gone. Colorado is kind of the same. Cincinnati kind of the same. So, yeah, I'm not going to go too much into the bottom. Yeah, we both have the Angels at 21. They have Arizona a little bit lower than me. I'm kind of high on Arizona. But we'll get to the top now. The Dodgers, I have 5th. I don't think they're better than the Padres. And like, they have Atlanta 3rd. I have Atlanta 9th. Because even though they added Sean Murphy, they lost a catcher in the same process. They also lost their shortstop, which I think is a big deal. And, it's hard to replace your shortstop. Like, let's be honest. I have the Yankees 4th. They have them 6th. I really love their pitching. Even with Frankie Montas out a month, their pitching rotation is not easily, but probably the best in baseball. I got Philly 6th. They got Philly 7th. That's a wash. I got Seattle 8. They have Seattle 10. So that's close as well. I guess the biggest difference I would say would be Boston. Yeah, if I'm looking here, I got Boston 25th. They got Boston in 17. Jeez, that is kind of high. Yeah, there's no shot, especially with Correa now. There's no shot Minnesota's worse than them. Texas just added DeGrom and a ton of pitching and a ton of offense. Arizona's young. The Angels actually have a pretty decent roster. The Cubs, I guess they're probably better than Boston, I guess. But even then, I like Chicago's roster. And Kansas City, I said, like, they have young talent. I would put them in front of Boston as well. I don't mean to bag on Boston right now, but jeez. And then 16, they have San Fran. I have them 15. Baltimore, where's Baltimore? Did I not rank Baltimore? They have them 15. I have them 16, so that's close as well. Tampa Bay is a little bit of a difference. They have them 11. I have 14. So overall, kind of similar. Yeah, like I have Toronto 7. They have them 9. They don't have St. Louis in their top 10, I don't believe. No, they do. They have them 8th. My bad. Sorry, it's so small. I'm going blind looking at this. I promise next time I'll try to get a bigger graphic, or I'll just do them separately. I have the Mets 2nd. I have the Mets the best team in the National League. I thought that even without Correa, to be honest. I thought getting Correa would push them to 1. Then, like, the Yankees, I have 4. Philly, they have 7. St. Louis, 8. Toronto, 9. Tampa Bay, 11 on their side. The White Sox, 14 is way too high, in my opinion. I have them 18. I know it's not that big of a difference, but I don't know. They haven't proven anything yet. So, like, why would I have them so high? We both have Milwaukee 13, the king of the almost mid. I have Texas very high. That's probably the biggest difference. It's a 7 rank difference. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of look at this and let me know what your guys' power rankings are. That'd be really appreciated. Yeah, I'm just looking here. Like, I have Detroit 28th. They have them 26th. Like, that's not a big deal to me. So the biggest differences I would say would be Boston. For me, I have them lower than the MLB, and then I have Texas higher than the MLB by 7 spots. So those are two biggest differences. Let me know if you think something I have is outlandish, something the MLB has is outlandish, and just what you think overall about these power rankings. So that's where we're going to wrap up today. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode. My apologies, but not much is happening right now in baseball. We're kind of on that lull period. If you haven't seen, check right here for my NFL playoff predictions. I got 5 out of 6 right in the first round, but check where I went wrong. And right here, subscribe to my channel. Just thank you guys for listening to this. This is a short one. Should be an easy listen. Let me know if you have any tips or advice or something you want me to cover or a question, anything. Just let me know. YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Find me anywhere. RBI Pod. You guys know what to do. I appreciate you guys listening and see you guys later.